Welcome to Empowered by Iron, hosted by Dr. Kristen Lander from Fiercely Fueled Nutrition Coaching and Mary Morton from Grad Gains, the online resource for your fitness needs. Together, we are empowered by iron. Whenever you're ready.
Is it recording?
Yep. Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
No pressure.
Hey guys, it's Kristen. I have a question for you. Stop. That sounded stupid.
I have a question for you.
All right. Okay, I'm going to say we have a question for you.
This week we have a question for you.
I need to stop saying I.
Okay, give it like 5 seconds.
Okay. Hey guys, it's Kristen. Welcome to the show. Mary and I have a question for you today, and that is, what are you doing in the gym today? What are you doing in the gym tomorrow? Do you have a plan when you go into the gym? So today's topic is about a subject called periodization, and it's kind of a nerdy subject, but this is going to help you with the gains. So
typically this isn't something that a lot of people who go to the gym don't take into consideration. Usually they're driving to the gym and they're like, oh, today I want to work on back. So they'll do 5 sets of 5 on back at a certain weight. Doesn't really matter what weight they choose because they're going to do 5 by 5. And the next week they're going to drive to the gym and think, I'm going to do back today. And they're going to do 5 by 5 of the same weight. Never really making progress. I'm sure we all have people in the gym like that we see who are always at the gym and yet they don't seem to be changing much. So today we're going to enlighten you with a little bit of chit-chat and technical talk of periodization in training.
Right, so if this is you, if you don't have a plan when you go to the gym, you need to listen. Periodization leads to systematic improvements in your training. It reduces your risk of injury and maximizes your strength gains. It'll also lead you to peak performance for competition if that's what you want to do, if you're competing. So it manages your fatigue by managing your load, your intensity, and your recovery over a period of time. It also optimizes your performance over that period of time. So failure to use periodization can cause overtraining or under recovery, which we've talked a little bit about before. But the biggest thing is it causes a lack of results. You're doing all of this work and you're not really getting stronger out of it.
Most of us want to go to the gym because we had a goal in mind. We wanted to lose weight. We wanted to get stronger. We wanted to start training in something. Well, if you go to the gym and you don't have a plan, then it's almost like, what's the point?
Right. So periodization is going to systematically vary your training specificity, the intensity, and the volume. And the way you do this, there's kind of a hierarchy of periodization. So we've got our workout today. Multiple workouts is a microcycle. So 1 week of workouts is what's called a microcycle. 3 to 4 weeks of workouts, so 3 to 4 microcycles is a mesocycle. And then multiple mesocycles is a macrocycle, so usually about a year or so. So we're not just looking at today's training. We're going to look past that as a plan to get better and stronger and not just go in and kill yourself in the gym today doing something that sounds good because you ate a pint of ice cream last night and you want to work it off. You can do that, but ultimately most of us here are strength athletes, and whether you're a beginner or whether you've been doing it for years, you've got to have a plan.
So there are different methods of training. So there's more of the traditional linear periodization, which changes to volume and intensity across multiple mesocycles, so across multiple 3 to 4 weeks. Usually it begins with a high volume and low intensity, and it'll inverse to a low volume, high intensity over that mesocycle. The next one is called an undulating, or it's a more non-traditional type of training. It'll mix up the high volume, low intensity to low volume, high intensity, but not linear. Both go up and down quite a bit within each mesocycle, but the overall trend looks like a traditional or linear periodization. So that means it looks like a linear periodization, but you're just using the volume and intensity differently throughout that mesocycle.
Right. So the way that looks a lot of times is, say for instance, you're working on squats. You might have a high volume squat day this week, and then next week you may have a low volume squat day, and then it might be another high volume squat day the following week. But ultimately you're working that from high volume low intensity to low volume high intensity. And so and just to make sure that you guys understand the terminology that we're using as applied to strength training, volume is your sets and reps. Intensity is the overall load. So are you working at 60% of your 1 rep max? Are you working at 95% of your 1 rep max? So obviously a high intensity is going to be a very high percentage of your 1 rep max.
To think of volume, think of it as a multiplication. If you're doing 3 by 5, you're doing a total of 15 reps. 15 reps is pretty high volume, so you'd probably want a lower percentage of your total 1 rep max. Whereas if you're doing 4 by 1, which would give you a total of 4 reps, you probably could be hitting a very high intensity or a very high volume. So just keep that in mind. Keep thinking of it as a multiplication, and then use that to determine what your percentage should be.
Right. Beautiful. So when we're talking about periodization, there is one other type of periodization that we should at least mention, because there might be some of you out there that are kind of nerdy like Mary and I, and we like to study things. So you might have heard of block or conjugate periodization. It's really complicated. It basically, what it does is you have blocks of time that are dedicated to certain things within your training. It's super advanced. If you are using this sort of training, you're likely an elite or Olympic athlete, and you have someone who's already doing your programming for you, and you might not even know that you're doing block periodization. So honestly, I wouldn't worry about this method. If you find something that mentions block periodization and you're a brand new lifter, I would not recommend doing that. I think that the best plans for someone who's been lifting for less than 2 years continuously is linear. You're going to get some major gains out of linear periodization. And then if you've been lifting really consistently for more than 2 years, go ahead and try some undulating programs. I think they might take some of the boredom out of linear. Linear can get a little bit boring, but it is highly effective. There's nothing wrong with just doing linear forever.
No.
But if you get a little bit bored with that and you want to mix things up a little bit, then try undulating periodization. And you can Google all of these terms and probably find some programs.
But there's a few resources that we go to quite frequently. One of them is T-Nation. Another one is Starting Strength, Breaking Muscle, Catalyst Athletics, which focus on Olympic weightlifting, and even bodybuilding.com, which has a lot of good programs for you to follow.
So if you guys have any questions about training programs or what should you be doing or whatever, feel free to shoot us a message, and we will help steer you in the right direction, or help you out as much as possible. We want to be a resource for you guys, and we don't have all the answers, but if we can't answer something, we'll steer you to someone who can.
We're pretty sure we know at least someone who knows something. All right, so thank you guys for tuning in. Again, check us out on Instagram, Empowered by Iron, and check out our website. And don't forget to listen every Monday for a new podcast. Thanks, guys.
See you later. If you like what you heard today, please help us connect with other female badasses. We would love if you would leave us a review on iTunes. Tell your friends about us. Visit our website, which is empoweredbyiron.com. You can find each of us on Instagram. Mary is at MaryMo_92, and Kristen is at Kristen with an I, Lander. Future topics will include nutrition, programming and training, mental health, and just general female badassery.
Yeah, so let us know what you want to hear. If you have any input, that'd be awesome. And guys, this is Empowered by Iron. We want it to be a resource and an outlet for women who are finding their confidence, their independence, and their strength through iron. So thank you for listening. Thank you for checking in. And until next time, I'm Mary.
I'm Kristen.
And this is Empowered by Iron.